Hi, second grade. I am going to be going over your seesaw activity, and it is titled Practice Measuring in Feet and Meters, page 534, number 3 and 4. Again, when you come to your activity, I would like you to read the instructions. So, number 1, read the question. 2, use a ruler to solve. 3, use the pen tool to bubble in your answer. 4, use the text box to answer the question on the side. 5, record yourself explaining how you solve numbers 3 and 4 by clicking the caption button. All right. And remember, if you hit this play button, the instructions will be played for you. So I'm going to click the add response, and you should see the same thing I see. So like I said, our focus is really going to be on measuring in feet and meters. So that's our objective. So let's keep our brain focused. So I'm going to read number 3. It says, circle the object that are easier to measure with a centimeter ruler. Okay, well, I'm going to pencil, and they want you to circle the objects that are easier to measure with the centimeter. So that's the unit of measure. So they want you to circle the objects that are easier to measure with the centimeter ruler. So I'm actually going to circle this. So we know when we see something that could be measured with a centimeter ruler, we're going to circle it. And the next thing, it says underline the object. So underline, I'm actually going to use a different color. I'm going to underline the objects that are easier to measure with the meter stick. And remember, we said a meter stick, 100 centimeters are equal to 1 meter. So I'm going to move this over just as a reminder. So we're going to circle objects that are easier to measure with a centimeter ruler and underline objects that are easier to measure with the meter stick. So let's see. The first one, park bench. Well, if we think of centimeters, those are smaller units of measure. And when I think of a park bench, it's pretty long. So do you think that we should use a centimeter ruler or a meter stick? Okay. So if you think it is easier to measure with the centimeter ruler, you're going to circle it. But if you think it's easier to measure with a meter stick, you're going to underline it. Well, let's see the next one. A stamp. A stamp is fairly small. A stamp is something you put on a letter or a postcard. When you send it, you have to pay for it so it can be sent to wherever you want it to be sent in the mail. So if you're going to think it's a centimeter ruler, you're going to circle, or if you think it's easier to measure with a meter stick, you're going to underline it. And let's look at the next one, a paper clip. When I think of a paper clip, they're fairly small. So think, would it be easier to measure with a centimeter ruler, like kind of the rulers that we use, or a meter stick? Next one, sandbox. When I think of a sandbox, if you think of the one that if you went to Malaga and Head Start or for preschool, there's a sandbox right in front of Miss Shelley's class. Do you think that you would be easier to measure with this tiny centimeter ruler or a meter stick? So remember, circle for a centimeter ruler, underline for a meter stick. And you're going to use a text box for your answer. And I always like to do these checks. Is it easier to measure large or small objects with the ruler? So if you think of a ruler, a regular ruler, do you think we could measure really big objects or smaller objects? So let's just say a pen. Would we use a meter stick for a pen? Probably not. Probably it's easier to measure smaller objects with the ruler. Okay, let's go to number 4. Which piece of yarn is about 4 centimeters long? So remember, our unit of measure is still centimeters. I'm going to annotate just like we do in reading. Centimeters. So that's the unit of measure that they want. And it says about. I want you to really look at this word about. About means the closest to. So let's look at A. And we talked about a lot is when you start measuring something, you should start at 0. So I really want you to look at A, B, C, or D, and I want you to see which one is about 4 centimeters. So they want to know which one is about 4 centimeters. Well, I'm going to tell you this right now. This answer, they started at the 1. It looks like about 4, but did they start at 1, at 0? That one's silly. Which one is about 4 centimeters long? And you're going to, well, let's see what the instructions say. You're going to read the question, use a ruler to solve, use the pen tool to answer, then type the text box to answer the questions on the side. So you also need a text box to answer on the side, just like that. And let's look at the very last thing. Where do you line up the left edge of the object you are measuring with a ruler? Ooh, we just talked about that. Where do you line it up on the edge? And we said second grades are masters at this. We line it up at the 0. I hope this helps in the work.